the solution to not doing anything with your hair, the ball cap. Welcome to another week. Welcome to another afternoon idle. My name is Andrew. I'm a certified mindfulness meditation coach in the Unified Mindfulness System, Level 2. You can find out more about UM at unifiedmindfulness.com. I am many things, but I am not a licensed mental health professional, a therapist, or any of those things. If you're new to the channel or this, what we are usually doing is sort of exploring this level of just being. And in order to explore this kind of very light, bare bones, doing nothing or do nothing is the name of the technique in unified mindfulness terms. We're comparing it with a little bit of doing something. And the common unifying factor for all these techniques is really the technique is offering you some way to experience you. So we're familiarizing the mind with particular states of mind. And we can start at a position where we may be agitated, and looking at that almost from a raw sensory data perspective can help us pop out of what's extra, like what's being added, judgments and things along those lines, and help us to be able to be in contact with the sort of raw sensory experience. In the do nothing perspective, it's this sort of open range perspective, like this free range idea. So by not fencing ourselves in necessarily, we have a different experience sometimes with the way the attention is. And we can think about attention as having two different modes. One is sort of a spotlight, highlights a particular small area. You might think of it also, sometimes people refer to it as the flashlight of attention. And we can shine our flashlight in different places. And then there's this idea of a wide, panoramic, almost a diffused lantern style of our attention. And so the contrast sits we normally do are a little bit of compare and contrast for those. And we can be in between. So we can have this wide open perspective and then allow our attention to spotlight and then go back to a wide. So we can have this sort of mental dexterity in that. Any sit that we do is going to train the three skills. Unified mindfulness has a skills-based perspective, and that is that we're going to be training concentration, clarity, and equanimity. Concentration is our ability to put our attention where we want for as long as we want on whatever we deem important. Sensory clarity or clarity is about being able to untie the twisting strands of what's coming up in our sensory experience, which is what we'll play with a little bit today. And then there's this notion of equanimity. And equanimity is defined in a way that it's about our experience. So sometimes people will hear about equanimity and think that it's we have to be sort of like a sort of mental Switzerland, like we're not allowed to have any opinions. But it really, at its core, is about us not pushing or pulling on what is alive or what is available to us in our current sensory experience. Push and pull on the world around us. In fact, are very much encouraged to do that. The things come together to allow you to do that in a sustainable way. But this notion of equanimity is this idea that I can sit with what is present now. So that's sometimes Roshi John Halifax refers to that as vitamin E. Jeff Warren talks about that as an inner smoothness muscle that we can flex at times. So what are we going to do today? Today we're going to do focus in. So in the sort of sensory clarity element is what I want to kind of highlight or focus just for where I'm at the moment. And that's the beginning part. And then we'll end with the do nothing piece. So in unified mindfulness, we have three broad categories that allow us to meet any sensory experience that will come up. And that allows us to be able to sort what's going on, anything that's going on, into those categories. So we have the category of C for both mental imagery and external vision. We have hear for all of our auditory experience and mental talk. And then we have feel for the external body sensations or physical body sensations. We lump taste and smell into that as well. So we consider those to be feel out. And then the inner element of feel is the emotional body sensations. So you'll have potentially a bad feeling in your gut. Sort of the equivalent in Star Wars is I have a bad feeling about this. Well, where do you feel that bad feeling? Often it's a pit in the stomach or a heaviness in the chest. And that's the feel in quality. So what we'll do today is we're going to focus in. So we're going to use the inner components of those three: see in, hear in, and feel in. The three labels we'll use is see, hear, and feel for that. And what we're going to do is just see where we're at. If you're activated from the morning, we might think of that as a way of looking at a reaction that we're having. And in having that upwelling of activation in mental talk, mental imagery, emotional body sensation, we can, in essence, put our attention on it as raw experience. So it allows us to kind of go one level below talk. And we can think of this as taking that reaction, this up, and recycling it back into our experience, so we can have a complete experience of being really annoyed or a complete experience of being totally bummed out. And in the completeness of touching into that experience, we have a sort of whole, we have sort of a wholeness that becomes available to us. We don't feel as split or separated, or we're not trying to distance ourselves. So which may or may not make sense. So we're going to focus in at the beginning. We'll only have about 6.5 minutes maybe. Then we'll have about 5 minutes at the end for do nothing. In do nothing, we're just letting whatever happens happen. And if you notice that you're trying to like rearrange your experience or orchestrate what's going on, you let that go. Just sort of sit and know that you're sitting. It's a Joseph Goldstein sort of slogan for that. So before we begin, it's a lot of setup, a little more than I normally do. But if there are any questions or comments, you can feel free to put those in chat. I think chat's there. It might be over there. It's on one of these sides. I have a timer set. We're going to spend just a little over 15 minutes together, about 15:30. Yeah, this is live, so and you are. I'm very glad to have you live, Brooke and Angie. And I'm betting that Susan is another one of the folks that are viewing in, and maybe Sarah as well. So thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate it. So we're going to focus in, but in lingo, this is a way, if you're activated like I am, which may or may not be the case, then we can think of this as one way of recycling the reactions that are kind of present and available at the moment. So whatever reaction I'm having is going to be available as some combination of see in, hear in, feel in. And then just for simplicity's sake, we drop the in because we're focus in, and we just use see, hear, feel as our labels. Labels are optional, so if you want, you can experiment with dropping the labels. Let's begin. I invite you to adopt a posture that helps you both relaxed and alert, upright, dignified. Each of us holds tension in the body in different places. So just tuning in to see if there's any tension present. For me, I'll look for tension in the forehead, the jaw, the neck, and then usually if I have any tension, it's in the shoulders. So you can always play with shrugging the shoulders, so big contraction up of the shoulders and then letting them drop. And often, when we notice the tension, it will melt or soften. And if it doesn't, this is our first opportunity to bring a no big deal attitude to our sit. And then, if nasal breathing is available to you, I know lots of folks are congested with colds and such, being winter and all. But if nasal breathing is available, I invite you to take a few conscious breaths in through the nose and then extending the exhale. You can breathe out through the nose or breathe out through the mouth, either one, but extending and elongating that exhale. And in extending the exhale, we bring more of a downward action to that. As we lengthen the exhale, we cue the nervous system to bring online the parasympathetic, the rest and relaxation side of the nervous system. And then to begin, we're operating with a focus range of the inner side of see, hear, feel. So we can say that we're doing a technique for shorthand called focus in. Like we normally do when we're employing a noting technique, we're allowing our attention to be within that focus range, noticing where in the focus range the attention is, soaking the attention in, and then optionally labeling it, knowing that our attention will be pulled outside of the focus range and applying care and understanding as we bring the attention back. Again, no big deal. When we note focus in like this, we may have situations where there's mental talk and mental imagery. So you can just pick one. You're not graded on this, so no worries. Or if you want, you can use the combination of the labels. So maybe it's hear, feel, see, hear. Maybe it's all three. If you want, you can say all. And the notion here is that we may see things as an arising of all at once, but the attention may choose to focus on talk, say. We begin this process with practice of untangling this reaction, seeing it for the constituent parts that it is. And if you're having a tranquil afternoon, feel free to note that and enjoy and label it rest. So explore, focus in on your own. when we're in this situation where we're trying to recycle a reaction that we're having, particular strong emotions, or just lots of activation, we may have a tendency to be rough with how we bring our attention back. Just knowing that may be helpful. But in offering, how much care can I use? How much care that's available can I use in bringing my attention back? Each time we sit, we can think of it as we come to the cushion or the chair or whatever with a different amount of resources to support ourselves. And so, depending on where you're at today, you can choose to shift into the do nothing practice now, allowing no tech to your technique and letting whatever happens happen. And if you're not feeling that, you can choose to shift to focusing out. And the solidness of sounds around you, the sense of gravity as you sit, or opening the eyes and focusing the eyes out can be a way to connect or ground yourself in the surroundings. Either option is fine. So make your choice and keep going. So if you chose do nothing, just a reminder that we're not monitoring for whether our attention is trying to be controlled or shaped or any of that. In essence, allowing is the sort of state that we're in. So whatever nonsense your experience is producing at the moment, or epic beauty, we're just sitting and being with it. As always, sounds around you may distract and pull you away. And if you chose do nothing, then that's fine. Allowing the attention to be there is totally fine. So the sounds of my neighbor's dogs whining, as much as that sort of pulls at my heartstrings. Allow yourself some care and ease as you connect to your surroundings. Thank you for your practice. Thank you for spending 20 plus minutes with me. Yeah, we're rapidly approaching the bottom of the hour. If you have reports, I'm always game to hear those. I've always I always am appreciative of reports that sort of show that skillfulness. So thank you for that. If you have questions, I can attempt to offer a response, but I'm not bold enough to say it'll be an answer per se. Thank you for joining, Angie. I appreciate it. I hope your meeting goes well. So I'll pause for a moment. This for me, the I'm in this spot where like Mondays are like kind of a, I don't know. I generate this like position of righteous indignation that I'm in, and it's not really a big deal, but for some reason I'm making a big deal out of stuff. Well, it is and isn't, maybe. It's a nice way to put it. In the grand scheme of things, it's not a huge deal. So I'm finding myself coming to these sits, and I'm like, I'm pretty activated. So part of today is just kind of offering a guidance from the sort of toolkit that is what's needed for me, and that may not have been what you needed today. So thanks for your patience. Well, yeah, I think you're very welcome. Or thank you for that, Brooke. So that do nothing thing, what I've found in some of the coaching that I've done one-on-one is that if people don't feel resourced and then they feel like they have to do nothing, they can get themselves in a spot where they feel like kind of in a almost like a double bind, maybe is a way to put it. So, oh, interesting. Okay, so you chose Hear Out. Yeah, so I'm not sure when this happened, but Hear Out and Hear Gone are those two techniques. So Gone is just a short form or tagline for noticing when a sensation drops off, um, like nearly like all of it drops off, or it completely drops off. So like gone in a visual sense would be noticing that a car is out of your vision or something along those lines. So you're noticing the endings of things. In Hear Out, when you would apply gone to that, it every time I pause, that gone is a it's like the equivalent in music, I think, of a what do they call it? Not a break, but when there's a stop, when everyone stops, that's gone. And when you notice that, then you begin to you're noticing the endings of things, and it's a very interesting technique. It's not really included in UM as much. I called it a UM thing, but it's really more in Shinzen's wider view of teaching. So room tone is what they call it in like audio, that like sound of humming in a space or the sound of a space. I find it fascinating that you can take things out of a room and then it sounds different. So that's to me is very I don't know, it's very interesting. But yeah, so that's cool. So it provided structure. So that's a good reminder about matching that a structured technique when we need a structured technique. So that's really skillful. Thank you for that. All right, I am gonna head out. I need to get things moving, and there'll be more sits this week, same time. Thursday we'll continue to do the switch up, where we'll do nothing at the beginning instead of the end, and then we'll keep doing friendliness Friday. So yeah, we'll see you.